Hey, everybody, welcome to another wonderful edition. Well, we'll leave that up to you. Santa Clarita Insider Show with Connor MacIvor and, of course, Tim Blankenship on the other end of the microphone. We wanted to come and talk about what's going on in Santa Clarita, as we always do. We talk a little bit about business. We do have a guest that came on the show. He is a very brave man to be able to endure Tim and I, so it's going to be fun. I'm sure he'll have a lot of knives to throw our way too, but we're going to talk about local business. We're going to talk about the things that matter out here in Santa Clarita, as we do. And I'm going to bring it over to Tim Blankenship right now, and we'll get the show started. And thanks for tuning in.
Good morning, Connor. Let me turn the music off here. We have our teaser to go over just to show everyone what we're talking about today. Want to go over that with us?
Perfect. Yeah. So we have Adam Wilson. He's with Princess Cruises. And, Tim and I come from a law enforcement background. So he covers the safety aspect. I believe that's his current position now, and safety and security. I'm kind of excited to talk about that. Going to get into the homelessness issue. That seems to be such a big trigger point today for everybody. Condo sales and stuff. What's going on in the real estate realm. Of course, Tim's going to have some words about what's going on, the scams that are happening in the paralegal industry, which is very important for you that might be teetering on the brink of divorce, looking to get out there and maybe get some professional paperwork done. There's a lot of scams out there. Tim's going to cover that. And then we also want to give back to you businesses here that are tuning in and talk about the best practices, best ways you can build your business, make your brand stronger. And then moving from there, we're also going to talk about the artificial intelligence online, the Chat GPT. And I haven't paid the $20 yet. I don't think Tim has either, but it still seems to be working just fine, but we're not going to say that too loud. So there you go.
I have paid for it. And
did you really?
I did the $20.
Okay.
It's much faster.
Oh, you're kidding me.
That's the biggest difference. We can talk about when we talk later in the show, but it logs right in. It's Chat GPT plus. And the responses just start flying. There's no minute.
Really?
There's no minute of thinking.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, let me introduce Adam. He sent over his bio. Just going to kind of read off what he gave us. Born and raised in New Zealand. Parents and older brothers still live there. Studied at the NZ, New Zealand, don't say Australia, Maritime School. After graduating, began working for Holland America Cruise Lines in 2009. Sailed from 2009 to 2018. So I'm curious to hear some details on that. Sailed 2 years in oil and gas industry off Australia. Oh, I said it again. So he was in Australia. And transitioned to Holland America Group, corporate office 2018, moved to Seattle for 2 years, and now in the Santa Clarita Princess Cruise office.
Nice.
So that's him in a nutshell. And yeah, let's welcome Adam here. Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about the different aspects. I know you sent me some of your bio, and I know a little bit about you because we're neighbors and been hanging out for a couple of years since you moved to Santa Clarita. I want to talk to you about you being a pilot in the past and so forth. And I'd asked Adam to send me over some photos, and so I just wanted to bring those up here. Oh, no,
oh my gosh.
It was I knew that was going to happen. It was just,
you've changed a lot.
Yeah.
That's when you were young. And when you
I must have loaded the wrong
life before that. I
loaded the wrong photos up. I apologize. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, we had a lot to talk about. Do you want to just kind of go off what we talked about as far as your background and
sure.
A little bit about you?
3.5 years we've been here. Can you believe that?
Goes fast, huh?
Yeah, amazing. So I guess quick background. I started studying at the New Zealand Maritime School, which is basically sort of a merchant marine college. It's run through a university in New Zealand. And at the time, that was 2008, I started studying there. It's kind of a 3 or 4 year sort of training program you go through. And basically what you come out with is a certification that allows you to sort of navigate and keep watch of any foreign going ship, just merchant. So nothing to do with the New Zealand Navy or the military side. It's purely merchant. So studied there, and then it's kind of the training is sort of, you do 6 months classroom study, classroom work. Then you would go away on a ship as kind of an apprenticeship for 6 months, get some sea time under your belt, make sure it's something that you enjoy and can handle, and that you don't get seasick, I guess. And then you come back to the college, study for another year, go out and do some more sea time. Very similar to sort of airline pilot, in that you need to build up so many hours, so much sea time before you can sit your exams to get the certification. So yeah, I did that. And then the New Zealand Maritime School worked with a lot of the cruise lines and sort of recruiting apprentices, or cadets as we called them, to come on board and train. The cruise lines would sort of sponsor them through their training program, with the thought being, once they qualify, they would come and work for the cruise line as an officer on board. So it was kind of, it was a win-win both for the New Zealand Maritime School and placing people on ships, and also the cruise lines and recruiting officers to work on board.
So kind of an academy of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got one, I know, Tim, you know about it, Justin was there, but they got one here in California.
Right.
So yeah, they're sort of all around the world. I would say predominantly in the cruise line. There's a lot of British, UK officers. New Zealand's kind of just a little drop in that bucket. We don't have many. We are kind of a big seafaring nation, but not so much in the merchant world. It's more small craft. A lot of people go super yachts or recreational sailing.
Gotcha.
I was curious. I've heard this said a lot about, I guess. So Australia is a small island off the coast of New Zealand.
No, so
Is that incorrect?
Yeah, so Australia is, in terms of landmass, huge, and then New Zealand would be the small country off.
I've heard it said as a joke, and Australians get really upset.
There's always this. I mean, it's this huge thing, right? That New Zealanders and Australians both get offended by being called, and I think it all just comes down to sport. The rivalry is purely sport, yeah. Rugby,
and it's rugby.
Cricket.
Is that the primary?
Yeah.
The game that I have no concept of understanding. There's not even a field goal. You got to hit a post with a ball or something. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's we would need many hours to talk through it. It's complicated. Much like you explaining to me American football.
I think the best way to learn, Connor, Adam turned me on to this, is watching the All Blacks. There was a special, right, that we watched.
Yeah.
You watch enough of it, and you start to understand the game.
Yeah, one of the Amazon Prime ones. Can't remember the name, but they do a bunch of football teams. They did the All Blacks. It was a really good show.
Yeah.
And there's no pads, no helmets. I mean, it's just you and shorts and a shirt and shoes, and you're
pretty much.
That
reminds me. I think, Adam, weren't you going to do a haka for us on the show?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. We heard a lot about it. Thanks so much, everybody. Let's give it up for Adam. Thank you so much. This will be great. Go ahead.
We've been giving him such a hard time once we learned this a few years ago. Have you seen a haka, Connor?
I have no concept of what that is.
Okay, relax, because you're gonna get your blood's gonna boil. You're gonna want to punch something. Okay. If I'm ever tired, I just turn that on and I'm good to go.
That's amazing. I could watch that all day. I'm all flushed.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Holy Hannah, that's great. That's like
Yes.
something out of Samoan or some island community where they're trying to. That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Good.
that's where it
Everyone needs to see
originates
that.
from.
What's that?
That's where it sort of originated. The Polynesian, that's New Zealand. The native New Zealanders are Maori, so that's
Yeah, I've
where it
never.
all
That's
comes from.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I guess going back to the cruise line, so I graduated, worked with Holland America Line for I guess it was 4 or 5 years. So sailed there start off as third officer, and then you kind of work your way up through the ranks, just as you would anywhere else. And then took a brief hiatus, as Tim mentioned, there in the oil and gas industry off Australia. It was kind of a common thing for everyone to do. It was, more money, better rotations. So there were a lot of guys leaving the cruise industry to go into that side of it. So I did that for probably 2 years, which was great. Enjoyed it. And then the oil prices crashed. All of the projects dried up. So flipped back to the cruise line side. Sailed for a couple more years, and then it was kind of sort of the common rotation. You do 3 months away, 3 months at home is basically, so it's equal rotation. But I guess when you start thinking about having a family, we got married, we were thinking about kids, 3 months away. I mean, you leave one day, come back, and they're a different kid, right? So it was kind of that push for me to look at something shoreside. So went and did some projects in the office while I was on my leave, and then never went back to sea after that. Got a job in the office. So
when you're away those 3 months, is that are you getting paid 100% of that time, and then you have 3 months off back here, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so you're 3 months on board the ship. You're on there for the whole time, working every day. Yeah, and then 3 months off, you're not doing anything, which is nice. But
very interesting.
And that's why I was kind of mentioning that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oil and gas industry. I was doing 5 weeks on, 5 weeks off. So
can you explain the officer, the differences? I know you held different officer statuses. Can you break that down?
Yeah, I'll give you a brief summary of kind of the traditional cruise ship hierarchy. So it's split into 3 departments. So you have the nautical side, which is captain all the way down to the deck ratings. Then you have the technical side, which would be the chief engineer, all the way down the technical rankings, your engineers down to the engine ratings. And then you have the hotel side. Hotel side's easy to explain. You just think of a hotel. Basically, you look at a hotel in Las Vegas, and it's just floating on the water. They have a hotel manager, they have casino, they have spa, they have beverage, they have housekeeping. It's a huge part of the crew. I would say if you look at a ship that has 1,000 crew on board, probably 200 to 250 are nautical and technical, and the rest are hotel. So
wow, that's
gives you
huge.
kind of a breakdown of. Yeah, and then so just talking about the nautical side, so you have a captain, then you have a staff captain, which would be like a deputy captain. And then it simply breaks down after that first officer. You normally have like 3 second officers who are normally sort of the senior watch keepers. So they run, 3 8-hour shifts. And then normally 3 or 4 third officers. So obviously everyone knows about Costa Concordia, but prior to that, we were sort of single watch keeping. So you could be up there, especially daytime hours. You could be the only one up there with a lookout maybe. And then after Costa Concordia, we went to double watch keeping. So you have 2 officers up on the bridge at all times, plus a couple of lookouts. So as the Titanic changed everything, the Costa Concordia sort of did for the cruise industry in more recent times.
Gotcha.
So, is there a concern with? Did you do the security end of it?
We have a full-time security officer on board, and he's got his own team. So we don't really, on the nautical side, we don't fall too much into the security side of it. our main focus is navigation primary, and then we would take care of a lot of the safety, life-saving aspects, so maintenance, lifeboats, life rafts, and then on the safety side, all the firefighting equipment kind of falls under the nautical department.
So security really, do they have the umbrella over everybody, or are they only concerned with the hotel side of it?
So they report up the nautical chain. So they report to basically the staff captain, deputy captain. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, we work very closely with them. I mean, the ship's transiting has been through, sewers and that around a lot of piracy waters. So,
Right.
that part of it becomes very interesting, and you work closely with those guys. The ships, if you look at Holland America Line, when they're transiting those waters, they've got, the Dutch Navy that they will sort of align with, go through in convoys, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, I knew a Bill Armstrong that was doing security there. I don't know if you ever knew him, Billy.
No, I haven't heard the name. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the cruise industry in a small nutshell.
So when you're here right now, like you're land-based, are you planning on, maybe you shouldn't answer this because somebody might be watching, but are you planning to ever go venture out there in the waters again, or?
I plan to always keep my my tickets valid. So I have my master's ticket. So just to keep that, every 5 years we need to revalidate. And
good for
at
you.
the moment, we have
need that.
yeah, exactly right. No, we have a 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. So maybe later on in life,
teenage years, yeah, you'll have to get out there. Yeah, that'll be better.
Connor, he has a dog. Try and guess his name. Think of what Adam does. Cruise industry. What's the best possible name you could have for your dog?
Princess.
Okay, that would be in the top 5. I'll give you one. You want another guess or no?
Pilot.
Okay,
close.
Getting closer. It's Sailor.
Oh, Sailor.
There he is.
Well, there you go.
I gave him a little hat.
An Australian Shepherd.
Yeah, that's him.
Put a lot of work into the show, as you can see.
Beautiful boy.
Yeah,
all the bells and whistles. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, what part of your sea duties did that translate into becoming a pilot? Is that like an add-on or special license?
So I never sailed as a pilot, but basically it's common for a lot of people. They work their way up in the cruise industry, and they obviously end all be all is to become a captain, but then a lot of people transition into a pilot role, which is basically every port you would go into has a pilot there, so they would board the ship before coming into port limits. So you look at Alaska for a good example. The state requires anytime a cruise ship or a ship over certain tonnage is in Alaska waters, they have to have a pilot on board. So when we would sail through Alaska, you go and do a 7-day cruise up in Alaska. So Southeast Alaska pilot would come on board, probably 2 of them, and they stay on board for the 3 or 4 days that you're in Alaska waters. So they live on board with you. They're up on the bridge, and they're just assisting with navigation, that side of it. But every port, you look at San Diego, they have pilots. So the ship would come in, they go out on a small pilot boat, climb up a ladder on board, bring the ship in alongside, and then the job's done for the day. Get off, go home. So it's
gotcha. I must have misunderstood you. I thought when you sent me that video that you said you sailed as a pilot.
No, I've never. It's always something, but then you're probably going back, like the Alaska program. You're going back into 4 or 5 years more study, exams. So it's a whole nother commitment.
So Connor, if you don't know what piloting is, I guess this wasn't Adam. I apologize. Or I guess that's why they need pilots.
So that was too close, or
Squeeze on
Well,
in there.
he was honking the horn.
Hey, at least you didn't pick one of the ships that falls under our corporation. Appreciate
Oh, that's
it.
true.
we already got the call from somebody. They said, "Don't put our ships on there."
Yeah.
You can talk to Adam, but don't do it. Don't screw this up. You'll never travel on Princess again. No, I'm kidding. Hey, you got to have a story. I mean, you've been on these ships. There's got to be something. I mean, because as cops, we got stories. I can't remember any, but you got to have something. Give us something. Some just crazy nut thing that happened. Something.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories, I tell you. One that you guys will probably get a kick out of. This is going back probably 10 years. So a lot of our older ships have two anchors up forward, and then some of the older ships have an anchor down aft. Just locations where you might need a forward anchor and a stern anchor to hold the ship in position. So not common today. You probably won't find it on any new ships, but yeah, we had a small anchor. When I say small, these are 7-8 ton anchors, but there was we had an incident on board, and a passenger got onto the mooring deck, and it's all on CCTV, right? So the ship's now CCTV everywhere. You can see everything that's going on.
Right.
But back on the older ships, it wasn't such a case. But passenger got onto the mooring deck and donned up. I mean, this you can read about this online. It's not private knowledge, but donned all of the PPE. So put on the gloves, the hard hat, everything that you would need to go on, and actually went onto the mooring deck. This is while the ship is underway, steaming along at, probably 15 to 20 knots, and unlashed the anchor and let the anchor go while the ship was underway, a passenger.
Oh.
Which is, I mean, I don't know what happened legally to him, but yeah, I mean, he was the next port. FBI on board, took him away, and I'm not sure whatever happened to him, but I think they classed it. I mean, it could have been an act of terrorism, right? If the anchor had us caught up on something, but yeah, it's just, I mean, little things like that. And I guess the cruise industry now, everything's so in terms of security and safety, it's obviously, and that's a big part of my job. I do all the emergency response plans, procedures for the ships now. And it's just a huge part because, yeah, there's so many crazies out there, right? You never know what people are going to do. And you put 2,500, 3,000 people on board a ship and supply them with alcohol and everything else. It's
all they can drink.
Enjoy. When are you guys going on a cruise?
As soon as Tim finally lets me, he's been holding me back.
Yeah, you'll like this one actually, Connor. I don't know if Tim remembers, but first day we moved into this house 3.5 years ago, and took the dog for a walk. Maybe on the second day we were here, Tim was out on his front yard, so I stopped and got talking to him. I think it must have been like 3 minutes. I'd been talking to him first time I'd met him, and he asked me if he could get me a friends and family rate on a cruise.
Hell, at least I waited 24 minutes.
Yeah,
because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Oh, that's perfect. Good. That's the confidence.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you guys should highly recommend it. It's a great way to travel. It's good vacation. If you haven't done it before, then absolutely. But yeah, it's picking back up. The ships are filling up. Business is trending upwards. So it's good news.
So Connor, Adam's current position is Senior Manager, Marine Emergency Response. So I always thought, have you been on a cruise, Connor, ever?
Oh, I went to some Mexican city, I think Ensenada, and it was
that's been an extent. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I thought what Adam did was, when you're just getting on board, you finally got a cocktail and you're just getting comfortable, and then they they make everyone gather into a room and give you a safety briefing. I
Oh.
thought that's what Adam did, just to ruin your trip before it starts.
Like the seatbelt, insert the small end into the large end. Yeah.
Yeah, but I asked before we started, I asked GPT chat. I says, what does, where did my question go? What does a senior manager of a marine emergency response for Princess Cruises do? And you have a pretty hefty responsibility, Adam. You do quite a bit. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so my current position, so I manage all of so when you think emergency response for a cruise ship, a few things come to mind: a fire on board, collision, flooding, that kind of that's what keeps us awake at night, those sort of incidents. I think a fire on board any ship is probably the biggest threat to it. You don't have professional firefighters that are a call away that can come down and take care of it. You're sort of out there on your own. And going back to sort of the nautical and technical department, along with your sort of seagoing ticket that says you can navigate a ship, you also go through advanced firefighting training, advanced first aid training, similar to probably what the military guys go through in that respect, that you're out there on your own. You can't call 911 and someone show up in 5 minutes. So we have a team of 15 safety trainers that go ship to ship training the crew.
Wow.
On top of so the ships are kind of regulated to do drills every week, every month, different scenarios. There's a huge amount of training for crew members on board ships, especially in the cruise industry. Just because you have the crowd control element with, anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000-6,000 people on board. So that's kind of what we do. We sort of write, review the emergency response plans that the ships should follow. You look at when we develop, we're building new ships. So we have to look at new designs of ships, how we're going to implement all these plans. And
you must have a massive checklist system. I mean, are you checks? So the checklist, clipboards, are you still paper dependent, or did they transfer this into MyPads and all that?
Yeah, most of the newer ships coming out now, it's all, iPads, and the paper clipboards are kind of a thing of the past. You still see them as a backup, but primary, you're going to pick up a tablet, run through a checklist. And,
wow. Interesting.
But checklists are, just like the airline industry.
They're critical.
When it goes wrong, that's sort of the first thing you pick up. But yeah, it's an interesting job. I enjoy it now. And I still get out to the ships, not obviously in the last few years with, the pandemic and everything, but we'll still try and get out to the ships and, visit the guys on board, see what's working, see what's not. Whenever we have sort of a new build, most of our new builds are in Italy. We'll travel out to the shipyards and sort of look at them in the final stages before they're delivered.
Boy, that's got to be an impressive thing to see one of these massive. How much? What is the biggest weigh? Like if we're going to count tonnage, like the largest ship.
Gross tonnage, probably looking. Some of the big ones are over 150 now, over 150,000.
150,000 tons. And that's without people.
Probably bigger now. I think you look at some of the Royal Caribbean, those sort of lines, they're putting out some huge ships now.
That's remarkable. Wow.
Yeah. But it's interesting when you look at ship size and tonnage. They all come with their pros and cons. Like those big ships can very limited in where they can go just because they don't have the depth within ports. They don't have purely the length of the berth to accommodate them. Then you look at sort of a smaller ship that's still a good sized ship, but you can go anywhere in the world, right? See all these sort of unique places that you would never get to see.
And when they want those big ones to stop, it's not going to stop for a while.
No.
A few miles later, you might get it stopped.
Yeah, but
Wow.
I think that's where the sort of money earning is. I mean, similar to airlines, right? Planes
Right.
got bigger and bigger, and they
Yeah,
kind
true.
of found that sweet spot with the fuel. But yeah, it's interesting. It'll be see where it goes in the next few years, because pre-pandemic the cruise industry was booming, right?
Right.
It's going to take some time to get back there, but I think yeah, everyone, just from what we're seeing on the business side with future bookings and that, it's people want to get back out there and travel and see the world, so it's exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Adam, today. Learned a lot about you.
Yeah, it was fun. And yeah, comment, let me know when you're ready to go on the cruise, and I'll add you to the friends and family like Tim.
Thank you very much, Adam. It was definitely a pleasure. You're good people. I can't wait to meet you in person. I come over and visit Tim quite a bit, so
Yeah,
I'll have to look in on you when you're at home.
Yeah, let us know. We're just down the street. We'll
Perfect.
send Taylor over the bus through Tim's screen door for the.
yeah, exactly.
Very
All right, Adam,
good.
good talking to you. We'll catch up later.
Okay. Yeah, have a good rest of the show.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks.
brother.
Yeah.
Bye.
God, you believe that? 150,000 tons?
Yeah, there's a show on Amazon or Netflix that talks about the biggest ships out there right now, and they're incredible. They have water parks on them.
Oh my Lord. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've been under a rock. I just amazes me. But Dad said ignorance is bliss. And boy,
Yeah.
I think I'm ignorant enough to be so happy with the little things. It's good.
I like cruising. My wife gets seasick, so that's kind of the challenge. She's almost sick instantaneously.
Can you feel the ship moving that much, or it doesn't take much?
Like that. We've kind of done just the Ensenada stuff too. So if it's
Okay, yeah.
we've been twice, and it might have been the same cruise twice, 10 years apart. And first one, she got a little sick, but it was calm. This last time we went, it's been, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. They had to evacuate the pool because the ship was rocking so bad, the pool was losing water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And people were, and this was on the way back. So we're trying to order drinks, and we're hanging on to the chairs and the tables, trying to brace ourselves. I was rocking pretty good. But
it was a scene out of Gilbert Grape when everybody started throwing up. Yeah.
I think I could talk her into an Alaskan cruise because she thinks the ice is melting. So.
Oh yeah, to go see it one last time.
Yeah.
Till the next ice age, and then the planet will be covered with it. That'll be good.
What else we have next year? I'm just going to pull up our notes. You want to talk about the homelessness in Santa Clarita?
Yeah, I think that's good. Just because there's been such a big push lately, even more so than usual, talking about where is this problem coming from. And I watched, it must have been 2.5 hours the other day. I watched this presentation that I was invited to because I'm a real estate agent, and they started talking about the actual problem, and that's the lack of places for homeless to go. So that's the problem. So then locally we have a couple options for homeless, but it's really not just as easy as you walking, making a phone call and saying, hey, I've just become homeless. And I have, my background lends me some experience in not having a place to go in a way. So not that I qualified at the time, but for people that truly qualify, that are really homeless, that don't have a place to go, it's not just as easy as you making a phone call and getting a place. You have to fill out applications and all these other things before you can get in there, making that process a little bit cumbersome in a way.
Yeah.
But it seems to be more and more prevalent, and it's going to comes with the weather and everything else. But homelessness in some cases just isn't, the problem of not having a house. There's there's other issues associated that could have maybe caused or helped to cause
Yeah.
the fact that they are homelessness. But yeah, we're seeing a little bit more here and there. We don't have the tent cities out here, at least from what I can see. It's not as prevalent as maybe when you get in the San Fernando Valley, but it's slowly growing, it seems. And I think
Yeah.
it's something that I'm sure the city, they're looking at it because they're talking about it here on the Signal. This is the article I pulled up there.
Yeah. So this is 30% jump. So this was 2022 near the end, but 220 is our number now. And if you're driving around, you can see. I think it's more noticeable now on the bus benches, and definitely the comments about
True.
what they're calling the wash people. I don't know if that's how they're being referred. I guess a lot of them live in the wash.
Yeah, I've heard this. I'm not sure which one. Is it behind the Heritage Park?
So there and along that Iron Horse Trail, back there behind what is it over there, that the Tilly's or that McDonald's we were talking about
Okay.
last week.
Yeah. Right. That path
Yeah.
goes down there with the bridge.
Before,
bridge.
so yeah, before the bridge, so all of that area along Newhall Ranch Road, between the bridge and then that whole trail that goes back and kind of parallels, I guess it would be McBean, going away from Newhall Ranch Road.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, the
So
sheriff's
under there
deputies.
and then down that area.
Yeah, the deputies are. Whenever I go visit my daughter, they're back there cruising around, kind of writing the reports, and
Mhm.
maybe not they're actively investigating something, or maybe they just had, but maybe they're just having a presence right in the reports because it's kind of close to the station. So maybe actually they moved the station, didn't they? Down
It's way over on Golden
way over
Valley
into
now, or
yeah. So
Golden Valley? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
not even sure
220.
if that's what they're doing with the old one, but yeah, they moved it. But yeah, walking back there, yeah, you can hear stuff kind of going on. I don't know. I think you have to be on the other side of all those big that tree line there to really see it. But
Yeah. Here's the
yeah, stuff going
numbers.
on.
Oops. Here's the numbers from the almanac for 2020.
Mhm.
So there's the jump they're referring to there.
Yeah, just something, we talk about it. It's not, there's people that are not homeless committing crime too. So I mean, it's not,
Sure.
they're not exclusive, and not all homeless are committing crime. They're just what a crappy place to be. I mean, nobody wants to not have a place to stay.
For
And
sure.
I understand our audience, liberal, conservative or not. I mean, it sucks not to have a place to stay.
Well, I don't think these
No matter
are
what the
people
reason.
that lived here, do you, that are now becoming homeless, or are people moving to
Don't know.
Santa? They're either being shipped up here, or we need to maybe for the next show is talk about what we heard about Gascon releasing them specifically into Santa Clarita because of the Santa Clarita heading up that recall election. I think we need to dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah, to see if there is any. We'll
Any
see
truth
where
to
the
that?
facts on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I heard back in the day when we were kind of brand new on the job of relocations taking place.
Yeah.
But back
For
in the
sure.
day, I heard
Yeah.
those rumors.
Yep. All right.
So
What else we have on the agenda here?
yeah, I wanted to real quick, and I know I wanted to just cover one thing real fast.
Yeah.
Real estate still isn't moving, and there's some stories that are talking about how everything's surging and booming, and they're comparing figures with a year ago. And yeah, a year ago we were much closer to COVID. I think the further we get away from the core point of the main COVID issue, once we get further and further out, people are becoming more and more how we used to be prior to it. Then of course real estate's going to move, but it's very misleading. Listings haven't surged anywhere. We're lower than 300. I think our first episode we were over 300, 309 as far as numbers of active residential listings for sale in Santa Clarita. Now this morning I ran it at 270. So it's even less than when we started the show 3 weeks ago. It's just people are still waiting for this interest rate issue because most people that want to sell something need to buy something.
Right.
And they're at what, 2.5, 4% interest. Now they're going to be locked in at 7, maybe
Is
better.
that what it's at now? Is it 7 now?
And it's 6s and 7s. It just
Wow.
depends on FICO score.
Yeah.
But again, the prevailing rate's somewhere right around 7, 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
That creates an issue for people that are needing to buy something else. So they're just staying put. That hasn't changed. But the rumor is It's going to be that interest rate's going to be popping down somewhere in the 5s, maybe high 4s in the next few months.
Yeah. This is saying 406 active listings. This was as of February 17th, so a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's not correct. Looking at the data right now, 270, and what I ran is all active and coming soon.
That's
And
condos, single family,
that,
that's everything.
yeah, I did condo, single family, townhome.
Yeah.
I could do multifamily in there as well, but there's maybe hardly any, maybe none. I mean, that's how low that would be in Santa Clarita. Around the cities of Castaic, Canyon Country, Newhall, Sauga, Stevenson, Rancho, Valencia. I left Acton out of it, and I left out Agua Dulce.
Okay.
So, but those are core cities. Acton, Agua Dulce, they're there too, but that's 270. That's nothing. That's very, very low. But also you can look at the trend of days on market. It's taking quite a bit longer to sell. So we used to have properties that only had 2 and 3 and 4 days on market. Now we're in the 30s and the 90s and the 30s and the 70s. And there's
how accurate is this, this 39 days average? You think that's accurate?
Yeah, it's probably not bad.
I mean, that's still a pretty fast sale. We're
Not
just used to selling in 39 hours, right?
You're right. All locked up and done. Yeah, that's probably accurate. That looking at these numbers here, just off the front sheet of the MLS report.
Yeah.
That's probably very, very close. But again, properties, if it's priced right, there's enough buyers out there waiting in the wings. They're going to come jump on it right away.
Yeah.
If it's too high and they reference that past sales, a lot of people are using those online systems as comparative value to see, what those values are. Some of those systems are just missing the boat completely. And also don't forget, Tim, and you know this better than me, some of those systems are built in order to elicit some kind of a buying or a selling decision. So the number that's reflective on what your home's value is could be a little bit inflated in order to get you to make that phone call to that company or that website that's giving you this great number. Oh my gosh, I got to sell right now because they're saying it's worth 100,000 more than my agent said. That's a problem.
Do you think this is accurate? This that we're about 2% off from January last year. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 2%. It's so small. If you look at, and that's January of last year, that market didn't kick up, remember, until March, April, May.
Yeah.
And then in the summertime, it went completely bonkers. You make that comparison now, we're probably 8 to 12% down.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because people are making super high offers.
Yeah.
Cash. And I don't know if there's going to be any negative ramifications to that, because I don't know if you remember that lawsuit. We have a particular disclosure, and you remember this from back in the day when you're playing in the game. We had that lawsuit that came about, and we had something called a market conditions advisory, which is a California Association of Real Estate form that now is part of the contract for sellers and buyers. And basically it states that if you buy a house, it could be that your house loses value or gains value. And that they use 3 or 4 pages to explain that process. That came out of a lawsuit in San Diego. I believe it was against a RE/MAX agent, where the person that bought the house lost a ton of equity within a couple months after the crash of the 07 market and sued their agent, stating, well, they never told me I was going to lose money if I bought this house. And again, the court deemed in the real estate agent's favor, but now we have a disclosure that states, hey, when you're buying a house, you just don't know what's going to happen. It could go up, could come down. But the people that were buying houses at 70, 100, 150,000 more than what was listed just to get the house, I don't know. I know the person that's paying the money is responsible, but how are they influenced? And where is that? If they were influenced by their agent or by somebody, is there a potential issue with that? Could that be deemed as being inappropriate or unethical? And could that create problems? And was there enough people? God, I sound like Chat GPT when you're asking the question. Is there enough people that let's ask them? Is there enough people that were offended or bothered or put in dire straits by having to make so much more of an offer?
Right.
Is there that? So anyway, but yeah, I think it's cyclic. It's gonna come back. COVID's kind of not over, but we're past, I think, 0 hour for that, at least for now, until the next COVID event, right?
Yeah. Well, this is also reporting that it says 38 condominiums change owners, median price of 490,000. So almost $500,000 to get into the condo market. So we're talking first time buyers in most cases there, right? So
And that's hard to
steep.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. You have
At
to
7% interest, right?
yeah, and your income has to be better than 80 just to get your entry level condo over in
Yeah.
New Hall or Canyon Country. And
Mhm.
you can stack it any way you want, but there are cities that happen to have a higher price per square foot amount than other cities. That's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
it could be as a result of proximity to the freeway. That's a big driving factor out here, especially for the commuters and most people that live out here in Santa Clarita. They're commuting to LA or somewhere else for work. So their proximity to the freeway is very important. The closer you get in a lot of cases, the more expensive those properties are. The closer you get to the mall, the closer you get to the restaurant belt, the closer you get
Yeah.
to those places, it carries a higher price per square foot. A lot of the condos in some of the areas, the lesser expensive of them, their price per square foot, they're just in an area that maybe isn't as attractive as other areas, depending on the person looking.
Sure.
It's just hard to say that nice.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Anything else we wanted to comment on this?
I think I'm happy with that. I think people kind of know what's going on. Just like I was mentioning before, and I think we talked about this, be real careful. When you're looking for services for real estate or services for anything online, even what Tim does, the paralegal end of it with divorce, there's a lot of games out there. And you enter your information once and you're going to get hammered by 50 people that want your business.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you're going to have to go into some kind of a spam protection program and remove yourself and get a new ID.
Yeah, that's kind of a big surge we're seeing with what I do as far as divorce and being what's called a legal document assistant. I don't know if we talked about this the last couple of shows, but there's people that do what I do. So just quickly, to do what I do and not work for an attorney, you have a special license/registration called legal document assistant, LDA. And that's a requirement that you have registration. You have to be bonded. You have to have college. You have to have court experience. You have to have worked for an attorney. There's a lot of criteria and loopholes you have to jump through to become a legal document assistant. No criminal record, and it's good that they have that in there. But because it is so strict and difficult to get into becoming a legal document assistant, most people that are offering services, doing divorces, are actually paralegals, or not even a paralegal, just someone who is offering this service. And that's where we find people running into a lot of trouble, because half our business is folks who have come to us after they've either fallen prey to some of these people, because these clients, they don't know the difference between a paralegal and an LDA. The requirement that it's not, they are not required to work with an LDA. The LDA is supposed to, unless you are an LDA, you cannot offer services unless you work for the attorney, in which case you are the paralegal for the attorney, and then you hire the attorney, and then the attorney can have you, their paralegal do the work.
So what's LDA stand for again?
Legal document assistant. Just a special registration in California and a few other states that is a requirement to work outside and not under the umbrella of an attorney, but be able to work directly with clients, in all facets of the legal process. And we just happen to specialize directly in divorce, as we have for the last 10 years. But when people are out there looking for a service to help them, that they don't want to use an attorney, maybe they have an amicable divorce, what are they Googling? Usually, paralegal, divorce paralegal, something like that. Right. So they don't know the difference, and it's not their fault. But what happens is these folks aren't supposed to be doing it. Number one, they don't have the experience to be doing it. They are not doing it properly. And then that's even gone further now into a huge host of scams where people they're not regulated. So we're regulated. You can go to the Bar Association, you can look us up and all that. These folks are not regulated. There's no regulation whatsoever. There's no business license requirement. There's no, they're just doing this completely. I think illegal is too strong of a word, but they're not supposed to be providing services at all. And what's happening is, at the very least, they're not doing the paperwork correctly. They're causing rejects. They're causing all kinds of problems. So those people then don't get their divorce completed because they either don't know how or never intended to do it. And then they come to us, and now they're a little gun shy because they've already kind of been through the ringer. They've paid some money to folks. They assume we're all in the same category of level of service being provided. So now they're I guess very gun shy is the best way to say it. However, what's happening is these folks are using low fees, low cost to get these people in the door. So they have like these loss leaders. Hey, we'll do your divorce for $250, $500, wherever the case might be. And then they'll either one, take their money and never return their call because they're not official licensed company. So they'll just walk away with their money. Two, they will say, I'll take your money, $500, and they will do their paperwork and then say, oh, by the way, we need the court fee, when all along the client of theirs thought that 500 included the court fee. So they kind of get them in, get the money, and then say, well, if you want me to file it, you have to pay the court fee.
Right.
So we see a lot of that going on.
That comes down to value. That comes down to, I remember as a kid, my dad, he let me venture into the JC Whitney catalog. I don't even know if it's around, to buy a crescent wrench.
Probably not.
And he said, son, I'm going to let you do this, but I got to tell you, I grew up too poor to buy cheap things. Anyway, I didn't pay much attention. So I bought it. It was a few bucks. And when I got this crescent wrench, I could actually bend it. The metal was so cheap, I could bend it in my hand. So my dad then went to Sears and bought a Craftsman. It was twice as much, but I still have that stupid crescent wrench. Point made. These people are shopping online for your services.
Yep.
They're looking to get it the cheapest possible. They're end up spending $250, $500 not getting anything because they went with a company that doesn't provide results.
Yep. And that's exactly what happened. And that's in the least offensive case, I guess you could say. Right now, and this has been going on since I've been in the industry, there are folks that are there that their pure intent in their service is to defraud their customer. They have no intent of ever providing a valid service. So either that low cost entry to get in, we've seen and had clients come to us after they have. The other trick is they'll say, okay, $500 and I'll file your divorce, and they'll pay the court fee and they'll pay them the $500, and then they'll file the divorce. But they'll only file the petition. They won't finish the divorce. They'll just do the initial part and say, yeah, well, I filed for divorce. You didn't say you want me to finalize your divorce. So, and then they'll say, well, if you want us to finalize it, now it's another $1,000 or something like that. We've also seen people at the very extreme taking people's money and charging a flat fee of, let's say, $1,000, and then creating fake case numbers, getting fake stamps that appear to be real.
Oh, that's criminal. Wow.
Actually doing the paperwork and producing the product, but never putting it through the court for the sole purpose of them being able to retain the court fee. So if they said, hey, it's $1,000 and court fee is $435, so really our fee is $600, what they're doing is keeping the full $1,000 and then creating fake paperwork, fake case numbers, fake judgments, the whole thing. We had a client who paid, who was a doctor out here in Santa Clarita. This was 4 or 5 years ago. She contacted us after realizing that for 4 years her divorce was not finalized, and she had paid a company in the San Fernando Valley, paid them $1,000, and they said that was for her entire divorce. And this is probably one of the most prevalent things going on right now is they will keep the full $1,000. So $435 was meant for the court fees. They'll keep the full $1,000 and they will forge a court fee waiver with the court. So all behind the customer's back, they'll forge a fee waiver, sign their name that, they have to show they're either on Medi-Cal or make less than like $1,300 a month.
Sure.
So this was discovered when a client came to me and said, hey, my divorce isn't finalized. I can't get a call back from the paralegal that we hired. And when we look it up, I said, oh, are you unemployed? Because there's a fee waiver filed on your case. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, well, it means you're on Medi-Cal or, couldn't afford your court fees or unemployed or something to that effect. She goes, no, I'm a doctor, So that's what they did. She had paid $1,000 and that was to include the court fee. They kept the court fee, pocketed it, completed false fee waivers, filed them, got it approved. So they kept the money. And then on the icing on the cake is they didn't even finish the divorce for that. So kept the money, kept the court fee. All they did was file the petition and then never to call the client back. So that's what we end up dealing with when they are now trying to find a service. It's like they're really gun shy. They've been taken advantage of. And there's just a lot of that going on with the various companies that, like I said, that are paralegals that should not be doing this in the first place because they're not legal document assistants.
two questions with regard to that. Could
Yeah.
this person be held accountable for having a false financial aid documents submitted that aren't correct?
So I wrote a letter to the head clerk at the Superior Court in downtown Los Angeles with an affidavit from this client saying this was not my fee waiver. She
Right.
told me who the company is. I investigated them. I laid it all out in an affidavit to the court, just saying, here's what happened. This is what they did. Here's the name of
Sure.
the company. Here's her sworn, affidavit or testimony saying, I did not sign this fee waiver. Not a peep from the court. Never got back to me. So
that's
court's not
interesting.
following up on it. Yeah, unless the court's in on it. Maybe there's a clerk there that they know on the inside that's filing these, because these are tough to get through, these fee waivers. They used to be easier, 10
Sure.
years ago, but they're
Lots
very
of fraud.
strict. Yeah, they're very strict on the qualifying factors to getting them through.
The second question, could somebody actually through one of these companies believe they're divorced all the way to go out there and maybe get married again? Is that even possible? Now they're married.
Yeah.
Without...
So that's happening in two ways.
Okay.
One was kind of like what I talked about, where they're taking the money, never filing a case, generating fake case numbers, fake paperwork, fake judgments.
Yeah, because you would think it's all done. I got the numbers, I got the stamp.
Yeah. So there's that, but the majority of people that think they're divorced, and this happens, a dozen times a month, is people calling us to say they thought their divorce was completed 6 months ago, a year, 20 years ago. And their divorce was never finalized because either they did the case themselves. It's not always falling on a paralegal. Maybe they tried to do their own divorce and they filed the paperwork and they submitted the judgment and they never looked, and they sign it, but they're not submitting it, or it's getting rejected and then they're never correcting it. So we've had clients come to us divorced supposedly 20 years ago, but their divorce was never approved. And they've had new marriages, been married for 20 years, new children. And they're finding out because they, in some instances, when they go to get remarried, they have to apply for a marriage license. They say, okay, we need your divorce decree. So they'll go investigate that and realize the divorce was never finalized or never even filed. Or in these extreme cases where they've been married a long time, they need some evidence. Maybe there was a death or something for insurance or something. They'll need a copy of their divorce decree or maybe for their 401k or pension, distribution, and realize that their divorce was never finalized. Half of our business comes from folks the case was filed and never finalized.
From an alimony aspect and all that stuff, that could get really ugly, right? Yeah,
it's interesting. It's usually the types of cases there aren't those types of things involved. It's mostly like no assets, no debts, no alimony, no children. This is happening to. So, but that would happen. You don't really have official court orders.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Boy, that's scam, and they're everywhere. Boy,
and then because half our clients come to us that has already happened to, that they're gun shy, right? Now, they went to this provider. They're not supposed to be doing it. They're paralegals, not legal document assistants. They went there probably because it was cheaper than us. And then that happened. And now they got to come to us. And usually, and almost always, it's more work for us to have to fix what someone not knowing how to do this did, whether it was done on their own, trying to do their own divorce, or through a paralegal that shouldn't be doing this without the experience. Yeah. It's always more work to go back and have to fix it.
Absolutely. Easier to destroy than it is to.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but we've been dealing with this for 10 years now.
No. I'll tell you, this was a great show. I'm so glad to have met Adam. He seems like a rock star. Very excited to meet him in person, friends and family. Well, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be great.
Yeah. I think you made the list.
Oh boy, I'm hoping. Well,
what
Tim,
we'll do is we'll just trade off. We'll share.
Yeah, that'll be good. It was great seeing you today. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I hope we'll be back next Tuesday. And I think I might have a guest for us then. We'll keep everybody posted.
Sounds good. Tuesdays at 8 a.m.
We will be.